Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am so excited for today's show. We have with us International Vedic Astrologer to the stars, Lissabeta Kalag, a dear friend of mine who introduced me to Vedic astrology over the past few years. She is here today with some jaw-dropping predictions. Welcome to the show, Lissa.
Ooh, I'm excited. How are you, Jennifer? I'm so happy and excited to be here and talk to you and the audience. It's just going to be so much fun. So exciting.
I'm so, So we have been talking about doing a show on predictions. And yesterday we said, okay, that's it. We're just going to do it. Lissa is about to drop some major bombs for us for upcoming predictions for this month, this summer, this year, as far out as she wants to go. Lissa, where are we starting?
Oh my goodness. Okay. You know what? I might as well start with the eclipse. Because we have a major important, of course, every eclipse is major and important because they affect different houses, different signs. One is just a different news cycle. But what I really think it's cool about eclipses is that it reveals something. It's eventful. And most of the time, it reveals things that we are absolutely unaware of. Some people think that eclipses are like a really cool time to do things, start things, and they're really not. Only because whenever there's an eclipse, there's like this loss of light. And so we affiliate loss of light with darkness. And this time around, as I follow Vedic sidereal astrology, that's what I practice. It's happening in the sign of Taurus. And so Taurus people are very, very structured. They're very together. They're mostly very grounded. But Taurus also rules the second house of the zodiac. So this is about our ethics, our morals, our principles, our income. And opposing Taurus is Scorpio, where we had the lunar eclipse recently last month on the 26th. So there's going to be some stuff going on with respect to money, our principles, our values. Do we still feel the same? They're going to be challenged in some way. So something's going to go on that's going to be a really big deal. And so I'm excited to see what's in store for everybody personally on a global event. This has to do with people changing the way they feel personally and their perception of the world, their perception of themselves. How do they want to move forward? Who are you? Some people might feel a little bit of identity crisis. So they're like, oh my God, something could happen, a situation, maybe a relationship, something could be revealed. It will be uncomfortable because eclipses are not really comfortable changes and they're not comfortable events. But I do think that this is going to be really good because in order for anyone, or even as a society, or even globally, for people to become better and improve their life, we got to see what we are not paying attention to. And so this eclipse is going to do that. And it's really going to make people think, what am I fighting for? What am I doing? Like, why am I here? And it's going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde, which I'm really excited about. Mercury is all about our mind, communications, technology, documents, business relationships. It's all about decision making. I would imagine too, everyone around the world is making some serious decisions or contemplating some serious decisions right now. And so this eclipse is going to help people move forward with respect to those decisions and really clear things out. Because I think everybody's wondering, am I doing the right thing by relocating from here to there? Am I really seeing things in the right way? Am I fighting or doing something for the right reason? There's a lot of things that are coming into questions. A lot of our morals and principles are coming into question. But interestingly, I do want to say that there is going to be a lot of things being revealed with respect to technology, who's behind technology. I would even say social media, because Mercury rules social media. Mercury's retrograde. So everybody's going to be going back in time. We're going to discover some information, maybe about writers, maybe about social media giants, maybe government documents, because This is still squaring Capricorn, which is ruled by government. So there's all this interesting things going on. I'm looking forward to see how all these things are revealed and what we're about to learn, not just about ourselves, but about other. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too, because the eclipse is official tomorrow, right? June 10th?
Yes, so it's official tomorrow. And it'll be visible in Canada, the East Coast, Greenland, northern part of Russia, which is going to be exciting. But it's a partial eclipse for those of us that are in the Northeast coast. And so, yeah, it's going to affect. So I would imagine there's going to be some stuff coming out also about, for those of us that are listening that are living in the U.S., we're going to be hearing some stuff about politics, I would imagine, coming from this part of the country.
Well, you wonder, because you always say with a full moon, the energy is pulling prior. So you think just in the last, 48 hours, we had major technology issues with major internet sites going down, and whomever the big Oz is behind, suddenly, who I had never heard of that company before. Oh, they run all the internet? That was news to me. So I think that's interesting. And then we have the potential with the counting of the votes in Maricopa County. I think that's either up the 12th or the 14th they're anticipating. What do you think about all that?
Yeah. You know what? Mercury rules voting. Mercury rules documents, ballots. That's all ruled by Mercury. And when it's retrograde and it's eclipse, that means we're going back into time to look at things that maybe we missed something out on. And of course, those ballots would definitely be something that's going to be revealed to us as to what's the truth? How is it really tallied? Who really won? I'm not sure even if we find out who really won, if that's going to change anything. But what that will change is our perception of reality, right? Because what the eclipse does is it gives us an opportunity to dig in deeper to find the truth. And just so that we understand, so the audience understands, although eclipses happen typically on new moons and full moons, it's just not an average new moon or full moon. Whenever it's a new moon and we're having an eclipse, it usually has to do because the new moon is conjunct the nodes Rahu and Ketu, or North Node and South Node. But this is about revealing deep secret hidden stuff. And of course, it's going to be dramatic. Of course, it's going to be shocking. Of course, it's going to be unexpected. And something that I did forget to mention, what I thought, which was interesting, as far as relationships are concerned too, because when I was looking at the Lord ruler of Taurus, it's Venus is in the nakshatra of Ardra in Gemini. So even with respect to relationships, Ardra, interestingly, it's a very funny, comical nakshatra. Anyone who has it, a lot of comedians have a planet in this nakshatra, but it's also the nakshatra with the symbol teardrop. And so what this tells is there's usually chaos, a storm that's upon us with respect to love and relationships, because Venus rules the second and third and the seventh house of the zodiac, which is Taurus and Libra. Venus likes to be diplomatic. Venus likes things to be fair. Venus is a very gentle planet. And when it's going through the storm, it's not too happy. So I just want to tell everybody too, relationship wise, you might be also looking to transform your relationship. And then just in general, when you're going through transformation, it's very upsetting, and you will shed some tears and you will go through some kind of pain, but it doesn't mean it's over. It's transformation. And it could also indicate putting something finally to an end, putting something finally to rest so you can move forward. So that's another thing I want to mention about the solar eclipse tomorrow.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. And I know so many people, so many clients that I've been talking to privately right now, and they're in that spot. They're in that spot where they've justified it. They've tried to tweak it. They've colored it. They've highlighted it. And they're sitting there going, I don't know what to do next. And so this could be a great opportunity to really be advising people energetically to go within, and this is your moment. And I don't know if you feel this way, but I've always believed with retrogrades, whatever you haven't cleaned up or whatever you've left unresolved will continue to come back to you during a retrograde until you clean it up. So in a Mercury retrograde, right? So we've got this one now, and then I look forward and I'm like, oh, we have another one. I think it's somewhere in the fall. So it's whatever doesn't get cleaned up now. And this is just Mercury. We have 6 other planets retrograde this month. So it's such an intense.
We're going to be busy this summer.
Yeah.
We're all going to be busy, guys.
That, with all the retrogrades, with the eclipses, this is a summer of clearing house, figuring stuff out.
Yes. And you know what? It's amazing because not only is Mercury retrograde, but Pluto's retrograde. So Mercury is, yes, whenever there's a retrograde planet, we're returning, we're going back. But not only is Mercury retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde. Saturn is restructure, redo, reset your boundaries, reset some area of your life. Because Saturn takes 30 years to transit. And when it does go retrograde in a sign, it goes retrograde for about several months. And so Saturn's retrograde will be retrograde till about September. Pluto's retrograde. So it's about our power. How are you using your power? Are you enslaved in some relationship, or are you abusing some relationship? So this is, and guess what, folks? We have Saturn retrograde and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, according to sidereal Vedic astrology. So this is all about our power. How are we allowing other people to use our power, or should we use our power now? It's also about bringing things back into balance. So this is like some of the things. And what Capricorn rules authority and government. So how are us as citizens, as people around the world, are we giving too much power to government? Are they abusing the power, or are we abusing our power? Are we maybe not taking enough of our power? So this is going to be very interesting time from now till September. So you're going to see a lot of people are going to be protesting, speaking up more, because they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I don't think this is fair.
Right.
I really don't like the dynamics of this relationship. I think it's time to make a change. And then we're going to have Jupiter go retrograde at the end of this month. And when Jupiter goes retrograde, it's going retrograde in Aquarius. This is a time to be like, hey, you know what? My philosophical thinking, like maybe I need to do things a bit differently. And then, of course, Neptune's going to be retrograde this month as well. And this is going to be an opportunity for us to finally see the truth, because Neptune is all glamour, illusions, art, beauty. It's all this fantasy. But when these two planets, Neptune and Jupiter, are retrograde together, Jupiter is an extremely optimistic planet. But when I see it go retrograde, it's like the optimism is still there. But with these two planets conjunct with each other in the same house, going retrograde side by side, it's like reality check. Yeah, this is amazing. What would be more amazing is if you finally face your fears and stop lying to yourself. Stop making this more than what it is. It's a great reality check for everybody this summer. It's going to be really amazing. And I think it's also an extremely important time for personal growth. And then finally, towards the end of August, we're going to have Uranus retrograde. So that's going to be, people are going to be doing things unexpectedly, maybe relocating unexpectedly, maybe acting out unexpectedly, just doing things out of character. So we're doing all this work to figure out, how do we want to live? How do we want to pursue our life? Because the other thing that I want to mention is, because I am a numerologist, and this year, 2021, when you add the numbers straight, 2 + 0 + 2 + 1, it's a 5 personal year. It could be very confusing when it's a 5-year universally. It means that Mercury is all about options. You have so many options, but you don't know which one to choose. You don't know which one to go with. You don't know what to do. So you're trying to get information and collect data from everywhere, and you're trying to put things into your brainstorm pot, and you're like, okay, like this, I don't like that, I want to do this, I don't want to do that. You're just collectively gathering information so you could start to make a more solid decision by the end of the year. And look how perfect the retrograde season is. It's over the summer. And that's when a lot of people are going to go on vacation. They're going to be doing traveling. Parents are going to have their kids home. This is a really good time for people to reconnect and reevaluate what is it that they want to do and how do they want to move forward. So I think it's going to be a complete major blessing in disguise as to give you this insight. So I know some people are upset because a lot of residents, depending on where you live, they're not too happy with their state governors. So this is an important time for people to reevaluate, how do they want to deal with this? Do they want to leave? Do they want to stay? And make better choices and decisions, because it is confusing when you don't know when something's going to happen, especially when you have your hopes up so high. And a lot of people have that. Jupiter is the sign of Aquarius. So people have a lot of great hopes and dreams for themselves. But now with the retrograde that's going to happen between Jupiter and Neptune this month, people are going to start saying, okay, you know what? I really wanted this, but I don't think that this is plausible at this time. I think I need to set up a new goal. I think I need to dream a little bit differently. I think I need to do something that's going to better serve humanity, not so much just myself. So people are really going to feel compelled this year to not just act and do things for their own personal selfish reasons, but to do things where I got to come together with other people, because this is a humanitarian effort. This is not just about me. It's about my kids. It's about my siblings. It's about my neighbors. It's about my friends. Like, we got to come together. So it's going to be really beautiful and positive in this aspect. But again, it's a lot of work, and people do have to do work. And retrograde seasons happen every year. But I feel that this is going to be a great major shift for people, the shift that they've been looking for, because so many have been so hesitant about how to move forward with respect to relationships, with respect to career, with respect to where they live. I do have hope that people are going to make the right decisions and they're going to be happy by the end of this year as to how they want to move forward.
And how things play out. So it sounds like collectively there's so much going on. Personally, there's also things going on. I was speaking with someone yesterday and we were talking about, it really feels like we're getting to this time where there needs to be a movement that is bringing people together, that is truly unifying. It's not a rally. It's not burning buildings. It's a true unity movement. It sounds like from what you're saying that there may be this opportunity where people actually come together for the good, for the better of all, to come together. And it's a county, say it's a state, and say, you know what, this is my land, this is my home, and I want to fight for that. I want to fight for the freedom to be here. Whereas someone else might go, okay, I'm done with this state, I'm done with this county, I'm just going to move on. Do you get a sense on those kinds of things? Because there's so many layers to this astrology this summer.
Oh my God, there is definitely a lot of layers. There's always something going. Yes. See, Saturn's retrograde, it's in Capricorn. Capricorn is all about our responsibility. What did we do to put ourselves in this situation? Why did we put ourselves in this situation? And this is the first time in the history of the United States of America that we're experiencing a Pluto return. This has never happened. This is the first time, because it happens every 200 and something years. And the U.S. is a rather young country. So yes, and it's happening in Capricorn, in the second house of the U.S. So everything is going to be changing. So yeah, something monumental is going to happen and going to take place.
The way that you're describing it, like I have goosebumps and I'm thinking, wow, traditionally you'd say, okay, if you want to know what's going to happen, go back 100 years. In astrology, follow the history, and inevitably it repeats itself. So with this not having happened before, do you think we could be looking at a whole new kind of, do we say government, a whole new outlook, or a whole new layout of our United States? Do we think?
I'm going to say it in the most simplest of ways. Wherever Pluto goes, it breaks everything down so that it could be rebuilt again new. People have heard the word reset. Yes, there is in some way, shape, or form a reset. And yes, there is going to be a major breakdown of governments as we know it today. But it's still up in the air. And I have to be fair about this. It's still up in the air. Although I have a good sense of what's going to happen, I do believe that humanity has a strong possibility to change things for the better, where we could be a more free nation, where we could be much more happier, where we could be freedom lovers and not be so obliged by like a tyrannical government that many of us feel that is going on. And so Pluto's going to break everything down. We had a major eclipse on August 21st, 2017, and it began in Oregon, Washington State, and the path flew all the way to the South Carolina. Now we have another one that's going to be coming up in 2024, April of 2024, another total solar eclipse, which is going to go from the opposite direction, crossing over the U.S. and sliding down, creating like an X mark over the U.S. This is a 7.5-year period. Interestingly, the USA is also going through what's called their Rahu Mahadasha cycle. And the Rahu is in the 8th house. So this is like a very scandalous time in the US. And it has been. We went through President Trump. We've never had a president like him ever before. Now we have President Biden. We've never had a president like this before. Complete polar opposites. It's very scandalous time. Everything has been scandalous thus far. The information, the things that we're learning about government, how government is run, hidden secrets, hidden societies, everything is coming out. Aliens. And I've said this before. Do not be surprised if you see like some kind of orchestrated invasion. People won't know it's orchestrated, but there will be something happening and people are going to pretty much either be hiding under the table or going out. I don't recommend anyone go out to a spaceship. That's my personal opinion, okay?
So I'm thinking, are we going to pull up to Sprout? There's going to be who knows who from where? Or do you think it's going to be something like the movies where it's like flying in and taking over the city?
There's going to be something like that in the future where we're going to have what's going to appear like an invasion. And then government's going to say, we have to protect ourselves. We're being invaded. And this means that we have to have more control over our citizens and you guys have to listen to us because we're going to save you. There's this meme that I've always said it on my Instagram to my audience. You are your own superhero. That's really what it comes down to. No one's going to come and save you. You have to save yourself. You have to be responsible for where you're going, what you're doing, and what you're thinking. You're also responsible for your own creative reality. You know what I mean? So whatever you think up here, it's a form of your reality. You are creating the space that you live in, whether it's happy, whether it's unhappy, whether you're, rich or poor, whatever that is, it's all because it started up here in your mind. So yeah, we are going to have something that's like an invasion. It's going to be a major city. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going to predict, I'm calling out East Coast.
Yeah, I would say East Coast, East or West Coast. But yeah, East Coast would be much more theatrical and I think entertaining if it happened there,
West Coast, it would be more predictable.
I'll tell you something. I've seen UFOs. I've seen unidentified flying objects. I've had an experience so long ago. I think it had to be 2013. I was on Route 17 in New Jersey. I was driving north and my husband and I saw this massive black aircraft with halogen lights. And it was, I think, like at 9:30 at night. And the thing that was crazy is this aircraft was so massive and it was hovering and it was silent. It didn't make any noise. And I wanted to record it because I said to my husband, I said, nobody's going to believe me unless I record this. He goes, yeah. He goes, but you never know. I was like, I know what you're thinking. What if it has technology and God forbid something happens to me, my kids, I'll never let it go. And so I left it alone. But I'll tell you something. I've never seen anything. It was like multiple sizes of an airplane. Like it was I've never seen anything like that. And I had a Star Trek moment. I said, holy crap, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And it's real. And I've seen and it was big, black, triangular. I've also seen the saucers, the flying saucers. I saw that at 4th of July in New Jersey. Apparently New Jersey has a lot of aircrafts. I don't know why, but that's why I've seen the majority of them.
Earlier last year, it came out and they actually just talked about aliens. And because it was in the middle of the pandemic, it got swept under the carpet. No one even cared. And now they're like, oh yeah, by the way, there's totally UFOs. So the next question is, well, who's in the UFOs and how are they flying? That's incredible technology. You can take the emotions out of the situation and go, okay, obviously I cannot be so conceited to think we are the only living beings in this world. Okay, how are you flying? Because that's incredible technology.
That's a great question. I'm going to say this. You have UFOs, aliens, extraterrestrials have existed forever. Right. They've been around before our time. If you ever look at there's plenty of ancient paintings, cave paintings, and extraterrestrial UFO ships in there. There's this painting, I think I don't know if it's Macedonia or Syria, I can't even remember, but there's this painting and in the painting, like you see like little flying saucers. And I believe Leonardo da Vinci in one of his paintings is his little saucers in it. And there's some other paintings from medieval times from, I think it was from one of the Northern European countries. There's like paintings of UFOs at war. So these things have been around forever. This is not just a few hundred years old. Right. And the other thing that I do know is we live in a multidimensional multiverse. So I believe that there's like a combination of things. Time travel exists for those of you that are wondering. So I do believe that there is some kind of group or entities that are time traveling, but there's also other species that are living on Earth, some of which we can or cannot see. Honestly, I always tell people, I feel like we're living in a sci-fi movie.
Getting back to the UFOs, I was speaking with a well-known scientist about this, and he said, here's the thing, Jennifer. now that our government has said that, yes, there are UFOs, all it's going to take is for people of the United States to say, wait a minute, how is that flying? And our government is going to have to explain that technology. And when they do, that goes back to Tesla, and that goes back to how, and you and I have talked about this, the electricity was meant to be free.
Yeah, electricity. Okay, this is an interesting thing. We have what they call geothermal energy. So if anybody really knows about the real history about the pyramids, are really act as energy around the earth. Somebody really studies what the pyramids in Egypt and the Bosnian pyramids are. Most pyramids were all usually close to some kind of moving body of water, but the way they were created was pretty much as energy buildings. And it's all free energy. In Tesla, what he was teaching everybody was that, hey, we got free energy that we don't have to pay for. And it's always existed. I think the question that people are really going to be asking is, why the hell did you lie to us for so long? Mm-hmm. Why did you hide this information? What else are you hiding? And why are you charging us for energy? Why are we paying for something that we could have free and natural? Because that was what Tesla's point was. Everybody could live free. Right. They have homes that run on geothermal energy. You know what I mean? Around the United, they're very few and far in between. Right. Yep. States don't make it legal because you're taking money away from whatever electrical company you have in your local state or city. So people are going to say, why are we doing this? The next thing they're going to do is they're going to start charging people astronomically for water, which is crazy. But all this stuff should be free. It is free anyways. It's supposed to be for human consumption.
We intuitively know different things that'll drop this summer. So let's go through a list of what we think. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with the ballot counting. We'll go there and we'll work our way back to the heavier stuff. So the ballot counting. Do you think that whatever comes out of Maricopa County, it will then allow other states to say, we're going to recount too? Or do you think it's going to stop with Maricopa County?
I think some states are going to be like, yes, let's do it. But I don't know how, I'm not 100% sure, feeling wise, intuitive wise. I think that's going to make people understand that there's a problem, a very deep problem with our voting system, and that there was a major miscount. I think people already know that, but there's people behind the scenes that are controlling the votes. Think about it like this. We all know that we have people that we entrust to do the right choice. I think that what is going to happen with people this year is they're going to realize that they haven't been trusting the right people to do the right job. Where before it was like, oh, maybe it's a miscount. We blame it on the machines. Yes, maybe there was interference. I think the beautiful thing about what's going on in Maricopa County is that it's going to show people, hey, there was something going on. We let it go on for too long. And it's going to expose that there is corruption with the voting system. And the voting system, as you know it, it's not so much who's elected. It's more like who's selected. So I think it's going to be a nice eye opener for people. I think that's probably the most valuable thing that's going to come out. And I think that's going to transcend within the states, which I love, because this is all about, like I said before, Jupiter retrograde, Neptune retrograde. I do believe it's going to reveal things and make people come together and say, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to be lied to anymore. We want to be in charge of the government. And remember, as I said earlier, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, it's like, how much trust did I have in the government? Why did I leave it all up to them? People are going to want to get more involved this year than ever before in politics, in government, in saying,
and their health.
Not happy with and their health. Absolutely. And their home. Mostly all things that have to do with money, because we have Rahu, the North Node, in the second house. It's all about money too. Where's our money going? Who are we entrusting and paying to do the job? And they can do the job. But the most important thing that I feel that what Maricopa County is going to reveal to everybody is that, okay, the voting system was not legit. More votes possibly for that county could have been for Trump. Okay, we all established that now. Then what? Then, hey, we've been taken advantage of. We entrusted certain people to do the right thing, and we can't give them that trust anymore. So I think that's the important thing, is about helping people to understand that they have to take back their power. And people are slowly but surely doing that, because you'll see more people this year than ever before in the United States really being more proactive, fighting, speaking up. You'll see it on social media. You'll see it at protests. You'll see it when they're messaging the senators, the representatives of each state.
I do think that the tides are turning a little bit so that it's not going to be so much about, is it a Republican, is it a Democrat? We just want everyone's vote to count. You should have confidence in no matter who you're voting for. Everybody's vote, if you are a legal abiding citizen, your vote should count and you should have confidence in that. I just want the best person who's going to do the best for we, the people.
I think what it's coming down is people want transparency.
100%.
Everybody wants transparency. Like I said before, with the Pluto return in Capricorn. Look, the United States as we know it, it's not going to be the same. It's just not going to be the same. It's going to completely transform into a very different country.
Do you think this is going to be the time where, and I believe Texas at the beginning of the pandemic, they had filed that they wanted to succeed from the United States. Do you think that other states will follow suit? I don't know what that process is, but do you think we're going to see some of that?
I would not be, let me say this, I would not be surprised. Because Texas, it's interesting. When you look at the eclipses, Texas has an eclipse that's going to take place in 2023 that's going to go over the state. And I believe at some point between 2023 and 2024 that yes, it will secede from the union or separate in some way, shape or form. So I've always said that, but yeah, I do feel that it will happen, because what do people want more than anything? They want freedom. They want freedom. They don't want, for instance, we as adults, we grow up, we're babies, we become teenagers, and then we become young adults. And at some point, we don't want mom and dad telling us what to do once we hit 18, 19, 20 years old. We want to venture out on our own. We want to make our own decisions. We want to make our own mistakes without mom and dad controlling how that's done, without mom and dad telling us what car we can or cannot drive, what color should that be, where I should live, what I should study, how I should take care of myself. Tell me if as ridiculous as it sounds. And this is what we're going through right now. America, the young country that it is, it's 20, 21 years old, and say, hey, mom and dad, I do not want you telling me how to live and what to do. We are at that point right now. What happens is that we're growing up and we're saying we want to be independent.
Do you have a sense for other states that might follow suit?
Yeah, I feel like some of the neighboring states are going to want to join Texas. I also do feel that by or before or around 2024, I believe that the U.S. is going to be broken up into sections. I believe that the geographical and metaphorical boundaries, meaning like the states, are going to change in the U.S. I believe that it's going to be broken up in sections just based on the way the United States has these total solar eclipses hitting it, the path of these solar eclipses, and the Pluto return and the Mahadasha cycle that's happening in the 8th house of the United States. It's about big, major changes. But I believe that when you have the X going over the U.S., and it's going over the New Madrid line, which anyone with New Madrid, and everyone knows that we had a massive earthquake in New Madrid so many years ago. And it's right there on that line. And there's major fault lines in the U.S. It's going to crack energetically. Wherever you have the X's, it's like hot spots. It's nerve-wracking for everyone. I'm going to say this. So the total solar eclipse went, like I said before, from the Washington, Oregon area straight through to South Carolina, where Charleston is. And then the one that's happening in 2023 that's going to affect Texas begins in the Oregon, Washington state area and goes straight down towards San Antonio into the Gulf. So there's like a path being set there. And then we have the third one, which is going to happen in 2024, creating two X marks, right? One for the 2023 eclipse and one for the 2017 eclipse. And that one's going to happen in the New Madrid in Missouri. And then there's another one that's happening near San Antonio, Texas, right? So there's going to be like these breaking up, this division, but also division of energy, division of politics. Think about it. If you look at it, just look at the northeastern part of the U.S. It tends to be more blue. Look at the southwestern part of the U.S. and the south. That's more red. And then you have part where like Dallas and the rest of the northwest part of Texas, that area, the mid-coast, they seem to have like their own flavor of culture. And then you see California, Arizona, Nevada, they have their own culture. But yeah, there's going to be like a divide there. But if you think about it, even politically, people are divided. And, and it's funny you talked about the Civil War. I remember it was like the North versus something that's already happening.
It's totally been happening.
It's like, it's a total repeat of history, which I have to remind everybody, history tends to repeat itself. And if you do not know your history, I highly suggest you learn U.S. history and you learn about all the techniques and politics of ancient wars and ancient history across the U.S. and Asia, and you will clearly understand
what's going on right now
and around the world. It's very interesting to see how this is happening. And some people think, oh, it happens overnight. No, changes never happen overnight. It happens gradually over time. But the real blessing, and I want to remind everyone, the real blessing is the knowledge that you're going to come into this year. Because a 5-year, 2021, it's all about information, gathering enough information and data to help you make solid decisions, because next year we're in 2022. That's all water energy. That's all earth energy. That's all about life. And I am making a prediction. We're seeing a lot of earthquakes along the Ring of Fire around the Pacific Ocean, and California, Alaska, and Oregon. They're all going to continue experiencing quakes. And I'm very nervous. And I have to be honest with your audience. I'm very nervous and uncomfortable because I do feel that 2022, we're going to have some crazy earthquakes, and especially on the West Coast. I just really, want people to start thinking about having a plan B if you live on the West Coast. And if you're looking to relocate, this year would probably be a good idea.
Be a good idea. Numerous people have predicted that all of a sudden on the East Coast we'd have more. And we have. And then we had big ones too. And I'm thinking, oh God.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of 6.1, 5.9. This is huge. I also want to remind everyone, do be prepared for 2022, because that's a lot of moon energy. Moon rules the number 2, and you have 3 2s in the year 2022. So that's all about water. That's weather. That's emotions. People get very emotional with all those number 2. So there's going to be some major changes. So I would also be very cautious about weather next year. I would be cautious of weather, tsunamis, earthquakes, monsoons, flooding, what you're drinking. I always recommend that people drink higher pH water. And wherever you live, make sure that by 2022, you have a good way of having water available for you in case something happens where you can't get it at the supermarket. It probably would be sooner, but definitely something's going to happen by then.
For sure.
The point of this interview is also to help people prepare and get some insight as to where they're at.
So with that being said, what do we think about the internet and the social media? There's also a lot of truths that are coming out with that. What are you thinking? We want to hear what you have to say. The obvious platforms, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram are the big ones that people are playing with and that have a lot of ridicule right now going on.
Okay, so our world is going to quickly advance towards technology very fast in the next few years. It's going to be freaking fast. We're not going to see anything. It's not going to be like anything we've ever seen before as far as advancements in technology like we're seeing last year, this year, and next year. My issue with technology is that there's too much invasion of privacy. And so people have to be very cautious and mindful. I always say that to use the word consent and do not consent. If you do not like something, you tell the universe, I do not consent to this. I'm going along for this ride, but I do not consent to this. I consent to being able to have technology available for me to use, but without the invasion of my privacy. There is information wars that we're already going through, but there is going to be a war versus technology because I'm very extremely concerned about AI. AI is not a 100%. Friendly thing. This AI is going to become anti-human. The human race is at risk right now for survival, not just because of what's going on medically around the world, health-wise around the world, but because of what's going on technologically around the world. A lot of people are like, oh my God, a car that drives itself. It's super cool. I personally am not a fan of a car driving itself.
I agree.
That means that there's someone that could have the remote to my freaking car and stop my vehicle, crash my vehicle, and it's the end of my life. 1, 2, 3. I don't like it. And then they want to do all these advancements with solar electricity. Yeah, but you have to pay someone to be able to do that. We already have free magnetic energy. We already have geothermal energy. We already have wind energy. We already have the information to use this, but someone at the top of the pyramid is not allowing us to do that. So what I, would like to ask the audience is to say, you know what, I consent to a world that consists of free energy. I could send to a world that, you know, consents and consists of good health, good, clean food, organic foods, a world that allows me to make my own choices. So with the whole technology thing and all this mass media, look, this is the other issue too. We're going to have less and less offices. People are going to be working from home. Children are in the future. It's going to be a rare thing to have education at public schools anymore in the future. And last year was the catalyst of making that happen. I made a prediction less people are going to be sending their kids to school. And we see it now. So many parents have been calling out educational systems for indoctrination, for promoting racism, for promoting prejudice. It's a really big thing. And then you have the whole thing with Common Core that parents have been up in arms about. Children learn differently, and not every child is the same, although they should all be loved, you know, and cared for the same, but they just do not act in the same way because we all have different gifts and abilities and skills that someone else may not have, our peers or siblings may not have. So technology, yes, it's going to be very advanced, but it's going to be very dangerous. It's going to be a very fine line. People have to be careful. And social media is also very dangerous. Although people are going to be using that to market, there's really no way around it. As messed up as that sounds, remember that everything is about consenting. Your reality is created in your mind. So change your mind about the way you think and feel about these people that own social media sites. And you're going to see a lot more social media sites coming out, a lot more new businesses, new groups, new people coming together this year and next year. It's hard to get around it, but it's just the world that in direction that we're going into. But since that's the direction that we're going into, just imagine a world where there's no invasion of privacy. You're still able to do your work without government looking through your webcam to see what you're doing, or through your iPhone or Galaxy phone to see what you're doing, without people prying. It's an absolute concern. But my biggest concern is for the kids. Children are going to be, my God, they're going to be so much more advanced technology because this is what the era that they're growing up in. But they still need to be able to learn to have a life outside of the home. This is what's going to happen in the future. Some states are going to secede from the unions. Then you're going to have the U.S. is going to be divided in sections. And so there's going to be people having more control over government in the future, because it is going to go through this major change, start all over again. But what they are going to do, and eventually it's going to happen, I just wish it was happening sooner than later, people in the future are not going to be able to be that invasive in your life like it is today. They will not be able to allow, it will be almost criminal in the future.
Which then leads you to the question of, okay, I wonder then what happens to the 5G towers that went up?
Do you remember watching the movie, The Minority Report?
I don't.
With Tom Cruise. And there's like these three women in water. They were like oracles somehow, and they would predict into your future. And Tom Cruise would go to grab criminals before they would commit the crime. It's very interesting, that movie, because in reality, they're collecting data. Essentially, they want to chip everyone. They're not going to be successful. They're not going to be able to chip everyone, because there is going to be backlash about that. But there are going to be people that are going to be chipped, and it's not going to be too much of a happy ending for them for obvious reasons. In the future, what they're going to start to do is, in astrology, like, we're able to see everyone's life through astrology, right? In astrology, we're able to see transits in a predictive manner, see what's up and coming. So what they're going to do is they're going to develop like this AI technology, and similarly to Minority Report, they're going to be able to read people's actions, because they're going to plug everyone's birth information into this big computerized system, and they're going to be able to tell what everybody's going to do before they do it. That scares me.
Okay, a lot of great stuff is happening this summer, but a lot is happening over the next 3, 4, 5 years. These are very important years that we're going into, and it's very important to know if you have an anchoring and you feel like you need to move, well, look into it.
The universe talks to everyone.
Yes.
The universe talks to everyone's getting signs. You either follow through with it, or you don't follow through with it.
Right.
Somebody said to me a while back, like, how do I know it's my intuition and not my logical mind? And I said, your intuition just gives you these thoughts and this information, really with no emotions attached. Your logical mind reacts when you're feeling an emotion, but intuition is just, you're getting these thoughts in your mind. And when you're getting these thoughts in your mind, or you're feeling these things, just follow through with it. This is a decision that I want to make. Where would I be most happiest and successful? Tell me where the best move would be. Give me a sign so I know where I should move to next. What kind of career should I do? Yeah. Got to ask for signs. It happens all the time for everyone.
And the key,
we're all connected.
We're all connected. And the key is you have to ask. They want to help you, your guides, your angels, whatever you want to call it. And once you do that, you feel so loved. There's so many energies around you all the time that it's okay, here you go. I love it. And
this is why I tell people you're not alone. You have a team. You have divine creator. You got your guardian angels. You got your spirit guides. You got your ancestors. You got your grandparents. You have so much love energy. You have tons of people on the other side. Whenever someone says, I'm not alone, I'm like, it's not true. You're not alone. You have a team of people around you. You're just not willing to recognize it because you don't physically see people there. We live in a multi-dimensional, multiverse place. Everyone is there to support you. No one is ever alone.
This has been so amazing. We're getting to this point in the show, and I want to ask you a question. I ask all my guests this question. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Yeah.
What is one thing that no one knows about you?
What is one thing that no one knows about me? A lot of people don't know what my real name is. I keep it private because if anybody's familiar with astrology, Moon and Pisces people are so secretive, which is great for me as an astrologer because I'll never spill the beans on my client. My real name is Lissabeta Kalag. A lot of people don't know that. There are people in my circles, but I don't make that publicly known.
And you go by AKA
Astro Devi. Yeah, Astro Devi. So a lot of people don't know that. And that's definitely one of the things that people don't know about me, which is pretty funny and cool at the same time. Yeah.
I think that's super cool. So Lisa, where would you like our listeners to connect with you?
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Astro Devi, ASTRODEVI 333. Because 3 is my lucky number. So yes, 333 on Instagram or Facebook. Send me a DM, a message. I'd be happy to do Vedic astrology readings. I also do psychic medium sessions where I connect with your loved ones on the other side, which is really fun and awesome. Or your spirit guides. I do tarot readings as well, which is a lot of fun and very insightful, just as insightful as a Vedic astrology or a psychic medium session. They all have their own purpose. I'm here to help, to guide, and to move people to be their best self and really to live a different kind of lifestyle, something that's going to bring you a lot more joy and happiness, because we don't need to be miserable. We don't need to be confused. We don't need to be unhappy. We do need is to find our own power, to find our own inner strength, and to find motivation that, hey, we're on this path, we're doing the work, we're going to get it done, we're going to have our rewards. And that's the other thing that I want to mention about Saturn. Although it's a very difficult planet, it makes you work so hard. But when you do the work, the rewards are huge. So everyone, do the work. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to open up your heart and try something different. It's the year to just be opened up to all the opportunities that are available to you, and just don't live in fear. Honestly, I always say fear is your enemy. Faith is your friend. Leave your enemies behind. Leave your fears behind. Just move forward. Don't be afraid. There's going to be, of course, a lot of changes happening, but it's nothing that we can't handle, because on a soul level, we all knew what we're going to be getting into. So anyone that says, I don't want to deal with it, bull crap. You knew what you signed up for. So just let's get it done together.
I always tell people I was so drunk when I signed that contract.
I always say, you know what I say to I always say to my family, my husband, I said I was just overly optimistic. I was like, what was I thinking? I'm like, why did I do this? I'm like, I'm not. And you know what I do? I say out loud, mental note to myself, I do not want to deal with this again. Next time, let's do it like this. Let's not have these events take place at this time. That's what I do. So everybody can do that too. I make these notes because when you pass away, you go into this room where you quickly go over your life and you do reviews of your lifetime that you just lived. So I do this. So this way I make note to myself in the future when I'm done, what I do and do not want to deal with. So I do those things.
That's super important.
FYI, I know you were asking me earlier before about, you were going to ask me about just a fun tidbit about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck.
And Benny. this was one of the things. It had come across my plate yesterday, some information, and I went, well, we should talk about that.
Oh my God, they're really interesting together. So I could see one of the reasons why they're together is that they have a strong intimate connection. Seriously, these people have a strong intimate connection. But you know what? They have some difficult relationships, like their Saturn, for instance. Their ascendant has a 212 relationship. Their moon has a 212 relationship. Their Venus has a 212 relationship. Their Saturn has a 212 relationship. And what I found very wild is that the eclipse that's taking place tomorrow is smack on Ben's Saturn in the 12th house and smack on Jen's Venus in her 11th house. And Saturn, what I feel like this eclipse is going to do, Saturn is like, hey, you know what? Now you have a chance to be in a relationship, right? Because Saturn is all about your karma, how Saturn rules like your good deeds, your bad deeds. How did you give to society? What did you do? What things did you do right or wrong? And I'm concerned that there might be some kind of loss happening for him in his life. Saturn does rule his 8th and 9th house. So there could be like a loss happening for him. But at the same time, it could be an opportunity for him to finally let go of subconscious things that held him back from pursuing a real healthy relationship with Jennifer. And Jennifer, she has it on her Venus. Venus is all about love, money, relationships, business partnerships, and these ideas. So something unforeseen could be happening with respect to her quote unquote relationship with Ben. So they're going to be, everybody wants to know, is this real or not? I feel that the love between them is definitely real because Ben went through 2017, 18, 19, not easy for him in relationships. He had all these planets in his 7th house. It was like breakdown. It was hard. It was heart aching for him. And now psychologically, he has Saturn in the 8th house. And he has to learn how to think differently, be more deeper, understand the deeper meaning of life, understand who he is at his core self. And for Jennifer, Saturn's in her 7th house. So she just broke up with A-Rod, right?
Yeah.
A-Rod. She just broke up with A-Rod because she was like, okay, I don't think that this is a relationship I want to continue pursuing. I think I've had enough. Because it's hard for Cancer, Sun, and Moon signs when they have Saturn going into the 7th house. It's make it or break it kind of situation. And that's what happened with Ben. And he ended up breaking up with Jennifer Garner. And now it's happening for Jennifer Lopez. But Jennifer Lopez, she loves being with Ben. They have a lot of things in common, but it's just, if they're going to be together, they have a lot of work to do, those two. And they do have a karmic relationship, interestingly enough, but they have a lot of work. This could be a good opportunity for them to start all over.
Right? To get it right.
Right.
She has a song. Get it right.
What song?
She has a song.
Right.
I think it's something about get it right. Yeah, she does.
The thing, it's interesting because Ben's moon is in Libra, very easygoing, loves to be diplomatic. He's whatever will make everybody happy. But Jennifer, she has her moon in Scorpio conjunct Mars. I think Scorpio gets a bad rap.
It does.
But they want a lot of love and they need it. They need to feel safe. See, the thing is, Jennifer's a Cancer ascendant. She could be a bit bossy. She could be a bit moody. She's a bit of a diva. Jennifer is a diva. But Ben also with his Venus and Ardra, it's like relationships could be a little bit drama for him. The way he loves to love people, but he really wants his freedom. Gemini ascendants, they want to be able to do their things, but they want to really somebody that they could ride or die with, someone that they could be friends with, they could be boys or girls with, you know what I mean? They want that kind of relationship without feeling so restricted, where Jennifer's, I need to have you here. And when you do that, when you put those two together, you get a hurricane. Unless you know how to navigate the hurricane, it could work and become amazing, but they have to work at it. Now, could the relationship survive if they are willing to do the work? And I believe that Jennifer wants love. She really wants someone to finally be like, you know what, we're going to be together till the end. And believe it or not, Ben wants to feel safe in a relationship too. He definitely wants it. So they have an opportunity to make it work. but they have to be able to restart, put everything behind them, take all of that knowledge and lessons that they've learned and finally put it to use. But yes, something very dramatic and very eventful is going to take place for them. And I believe it already started yesterday, today, and we're probably going to hear some interesting news about them next week.
I heard from unnamed sources that they're engaged. I wish them all the happiness. I hope it works out.
I do too.
I really do. Everyone deserves to be happy. I think it's amazing to be able to get a second shot, especially in the limelight, especially with who they are. I think it's amazing, and I wish them all the best.
And let me tell you something. I think that Jennifer has it harder than Ben.
Oh, for sure.
As far as limelight is concerned, the woman has a lot of pressure. She has a lot of pressure on her, and she does. She gets very frustrated. But again, at the same time, they both have a lot of wonderful luck. And Ben went through some difficult, times, and he had to rebuild himself as a person. And he's like trying to improve his career, which I believe he'll get his career back on track, and he'll be doing really well next year. And Jennifer too, she had to make some really big changes with respect to herself and the way she wants to live her life. If they could do the work, they could actually stay together for the rest of this lifetime, which would be amazing. For the both of them.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing.
Because I think what they're both craving right now, desperately craving, is stability. But I will say this, if they actually did in fact get engaged, then there's a possibility it could last. My advice to both of them is they have to take into consideration that they got kids. Everybody, one thing I always want to tell parents is whatever you do in your life, karmically in some way, shape, or form, your children will either reap the good rewards or pay for the bad deeds. They need to really get it together, those two, because it's not just about them and their love life. It's also about their children. It goes so much deeper. So I think that if they're going to get together, they just need to just work on it and understand that they both have some beautiful different dynamics with one another, but they could definitely make it work. Ben needs his space, and Jen needs to feel like she has constant love and attention, and they have to be respectful of each other's power. When he has something going on with his film stuff or his career, she has to step back. When it's something going on with her career, he needs to step back. They need to be able to allow the other one to coexist without controlling the other. Really important for them to understand that, and just to be mindful of their children, because their children are in one way or another are a product of who they are and their legacy. That's my advice to Ben and Jen. I'm from the Bronx too, so
that is her Get It Right song. So we hope and we dedicate that to them, and we truly hope that they get it right.
Get it right.
Oh, girl, thank you so much for this today. This has been so much fun.
That'll be so exciting.
Thank you truly for sharing all your insights, your knowledge. This has been a blast. We look forward to having you back on the show in the future.
I loved it. This was such a pleasure.
Yay.
And if people want to see us back together again, just drop us a line. We'll do it.
Absolutely.
So much fun. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope they enjoyed the future preview of the U.S. and really how to navigate. I'm very hopeful, but like I said, we all got to do work. We got to work it.
We all got to work it. We sure do. All right. As we say, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.